Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic, back again with another exciting edition of AEW to talk about. That's right, it was Dynamite last night, but how good was the show? Well, there's only one way to really find out, and that is by assigning each individual segment a lovely individual grade. That's right, it's time for AEW Dynamite, like the fuse, graded. We start things off with a cold open. The Young Bucks are there. They're being all cocky. They're like, we're so cool and we're heels now. And you're about to see a whole new Young Bucks. We'll know if they were a whole new Young Bucks in a little while. And then before the first match of the show, which it feels a little bit unusual because we're so used to AEW just kicking off Dynamite with a match at the start, but we get a second segment involving MJF and Mike Tyson meeting backstage. Tyson is the enforcer for Jericho's match later on tonight, and MJF tries to basically bribe him to turn it in the favor of the Pinnacle. Tyson's having none of it. He says, no, I'm going to call this straight down the middle, and MJF's lucky to avoid a knuckle sandwich because he makes a joke about Mike Tyson's face tattoo. A knuckle sandwich. I'm clearly from the 50s, apparently. The Young Bucks start things off defending the tag team titles against Pac and Rey Fenix. The Bucks are out with Don Callis, they're getting booed, the heel turn is cemented, and commentary make a huge deal about this change in attitude for the Young Bucks. But as the match goes on, and I wonder if you agree about this, I didn't find them to be that different to when they were baby faces. I mean, the Bucks are uber cocky. That's just their thing, isn't it? And I don't think that really makes them less effective as heels, so hopefully this will be all right going forwards. I think it speaks more to their ineffectiveness, arguably, as baby faces. But then some things are different that they work into the match, like Matt, for example, instinctively going to the babyface corner and accidentally nearly bumping into one of his opponents on the apron rather than the heel corner nearer the camera, which I understand, that makes a bit of sense, but then on commentary, Excalibur acknowledges this, which means that face and heel corners exist in kayfabe in the world of AEW, which I'm not in. The match is good. The action is good. We get a load of dives and stuff early on. There's a really exciting start to the match, as you'd expect from these four competitors, but the Bucks start to take control, beating down Pac. And then Matt Jackson does like a fake babyface hot tag, getting in the ring, shaking the ropes, dishing out the body slams and stuff, dropping to his knees, and he takes way too long, and Pac gets the hot tag. And we're into the designated Fenix does incredible things portion of our evening. The challengers get several near falls, teasing a title change. In fact, Pac hits the Black Arrow at one point, but Nick Jackson's on hand to break it up, shoving Fenix into the pinning combination just in time. I should have said in the nick of time, because Nick Jackson, oh man! Nick then goes full heel, ripping Fenix's mask off his head. Fenix obviously has to cover his face to protect his identity, and that leaves him wide open for a big double super kick and the pinfall. The Young Bucks retain. This gets an A- grade from me. I thought the action was phenomenal for a lot of this match, but I do feel like the grade could and maybe should have been a bit higher. The Bucks don't yet quite click for me. Maybe that's because more of what they did as baby faces in the past rather than what they're doing now. As I say, I think this will probably improve as we go ahead, but something was just a little bit off. Backstage we go now, where my boy Alex Marvez is with Hangman Page and the Dark Order. He asks Hangman what he makes of Kenny Omega's recent actions and the actions of his former friends in the Elite. Hangman totally dodges the question and gives an update on John Silver's injured shoulder and says we're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks, and then he walks off to catering. Then John Silver demonstrates his rehab by doing a few shoulder raises, and Marvez looks confused, as he sometimes does. Next up, my boy Marvez! It's a double Marvez segment. He's backstage again with the Inner Circle and Mike Tyson. Jericho explains that when they were betrayed by MJF, the Inner Circle really committed to changing their ways, and he says that he's basically called a lot of people that he has wronged in the past. Like in My Name is Earl. And the first person that Jericho called to apologize was not Cody, not Omega, not Hangman, not Shawn Michaels' wife, none of those people that he's wronged in the past. The first person that he called was Mike Tyson. Jericho called in a favor and Tyson is on hand to enforce the match. But Tyson promises Jericho, I mean it, I'm going to go straight down the middle. I'm not going to give you any favors. And if you get on the wrong side of me, you might be on the end of this right hand once again. He doesn't say it as kind of eloquently as that, but at the same time it's Mike Tyson, so it had a bit more of an air of legitimacy about it than when I said it just now. Singles action next as we get the quite highly anticipated match between Jade Cargill and Red Velvet. This match gets off to a really hot start. Red Velvet jumps Cargill during her entrance and we're away. Red Velvet's hitting a suicide dive to the outside. Cargill is hitting her with a fallaway slam into the front row. It's all kicking off. And this match follows a very simple formula, but it's an effective one. You can't disagree when the heel and the babyface roles are so clearly defined. So Cargill beats down Red Velvet. She comes back full of fire. She heads up for a moonsault. Cargill moves out the way, hits her with the Jaded, and that's enough for the win. Straight after the match, we go backstage where Tony Schiavone is on hand with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel as well. They give a bit of an update on the standings of the women's division. This loss for Red Velvet means that Britt is now in second place, behind only Ty Conti in the lineup for challenges to Shida's women's title. And Britt promises that she is going to rise the ranks and she's going to do it, essentially, is the message here. This gets a B+ grade, this match, and the segment afterwards. The match was so simple, so formulaic, but executed really well, which is why it gets a B+. I enjoyed it. I have no complaints at all. Next up, we get Anthony Ogogo coming out for a singles match. His nickname is the Governor in sort of a lock, stock and two smoking barrels London gangster kind of way. But obviously all the Americans are saying, the Governor, Anthony Ogogo. It's the Governor. You all right, Governor? Hey, I'm from the wrong end of the country to be doing it accurately either, really. His opponent is a young man named Cole Carter, who kind of looks a little bit like me if I dedicated my life to the gym and the pursuit of physical perfection, rather than dedicating my life to watching a load of wrestling and being really cynical and bitter about it. I'd probably be a happier person, to be quite honest. They grapple for about a minute before Anthony Ogogo just nails a body shot and Cole Carter's down, and the ref waves it off. That's the match done. This gets a C grade. Not much to report in terms of the story they were telling here, just that Ogogo is really strong and that he can end matches with body shots. But outside of kayfabe, what does this mean going forwards for AEW? Are we now just waving off matches when someone's in a bit of pain? Did Cole Carter maybe submit to the strikes, I suppose? I don't know. And I know that a lot of like MMA people are going to jump in and be like, if you get punched in the liver, it really hurts. I understand that completely. I understand what they're doing here. I just wonder what sort of precedent it sets going forwards, because presumably Ogogo is going to do that to somebody stronger than Cole Carter, and they're not going to give up, or they're not going to have the match waved off. So I just want to know where the parameters are, really. Next up, we have the match that Mike Tyson is enforcing. It's Chris Jericho taking on Dax Harwood of The Pinnacle. They spill to the outside early on, and Jericho goes to use a steel chair, but Tyson, true to his word, takes it off him. Then Harwood goes to use Jericho's baseball bat, but again, Tyson is there to snatch it away. He is indeed calling it right down the middle. At one stage, Harwood goes over to the timekeeper's table to talk to the doctor because he's worried that the stitches in his head have opened up again. The doctor has a quick look, but it's just a ruse because Harwood grabs a microphone off the timekeeper's table and uses it to just slug Jericho as he approaches. But Jericho's not above cheating either, of course. He nails him right in the head with a pen. Oh! Harwood hits some big moves when they return to the ring on Chris Jericho and almost puts him away. He hits the bouncy off the ropes into the powerbomb little combination that he does. He hits a really nice brainbuster as well, but he can't put Jericho away. But Jericho can't put Harwood away either. He kicks out of a lion salt. Jericho nails the code breaker, but before he can make the cover, here comes the Pinnacle out onto the stage. But immediately following them is the Inner Circle, and we get a big brawl on the stage. The referee is totally distracted. On the other side of the ring, Cash Wheeler's climbing up to try and ambush Jericho with the baseball bat, but Tyson pulls him down, and Wheeler looks at Tyson. He's like, I'm gonna hit him with this bat, and he goes for it, and Tyson, bang! Big right cross to the face. Cash Wheeler is down and out. Harwood is back in control in the ring, but a quick little distraction from Sammy Guevara on the apron means that Jericho is free to hit the Judas effect and pick up the victory. I wanted Dax Harwood to win. After the match, the Inner Circle have won the brawl. They all get in the ring, and Jericho announces that Mike Tyson is now an ancillary member of the Inner Circle. Ooh, very, very fun. It gets a B+ from me. I thought the match was generally quite good. I like the storytelling at play, but I would have loved for the Pinnacle to get one over on the Inner Circle at this point. I do feel like in this feud, apart from the initial shocking emergence of the Pinnacle, the Inner Circle have really had the better of it, haven't they? I assume the Pinnacle are going to win the big blow-off match down the line. At least I hope so, because otherwise it might slow MJF's roll quite a bit. My boy Marvez is out the front of the venue for a third segment of the night. What a workhorse. He is with Kenny Omega, the Bucks, the Good Brothers, and Callis, the lads. The Good Brothers tell Marvez to get out of here because you haven't even got a dangly. And then Omega says, yeah, no dangly, no admission. What does this mean? I understand what dangly's referring to, of course, but what does this mean? Does this mean that these guys only want men around them? They don't want to socialize with women at all? No dangly, no admission? I don't know. It's quite troublesome, really. I'm not quite certain what they're getting at. Very exclusory. Is exclusory a word? Very excluding of them. I'm rambling about this because they don't really say much of great consequence in the promo itself. They just talk about how great they are, and then Don Callis super kicks the cameraman to end things. Oh, Don, you dirty man. More singles action now as Kris Statlander comes out to take on Amber Nova. The Best Friends and Orange Cassidy are out with Statlander to watch from ringside, and it's a pretty dominant victory, essentially, for Kris Statlander. She's dishing out the big strikes, she's dishing out the nose boops, even one to the referee as well. And at one stage, Nova gets kind of a rag out and uses it to wipe her hands as if she's a bit disgusted by Kris Statlander, and she rubs it in her face and stuff. Is this a bit of a Lacey Evans-esque gimmick? I'm not certain. Anyway, Statlander wins. This gets a C grade. It was just a squash match, basically, but it's really heartwarming to still see Statlander with the boys, you know? Yeah, I want them to all do well. Team Taz are in the back, and Taz wants an answer from Christian about whether or not he's going to join Team Taz. They've been waiting a week now, and they've not heard back from him. Taz says, we're going to go out there and we're going to push him for an answer, but Starks and Brian, I want you two to stay behind because you're a bit volatile at the moment. I don't quite know what's going on, and I don't think it's a good look. Tony Schiavone comes out for an interview with Christian in the middle of the ring, but here comes Team Taz. Just Taz, Hobbs, and Hook. True to his word, Taz has kept Starks and Brian Cage in the back. Christian says, no, I'm not going to join because look at your group, there's loads of infighting at the moment, and I'm not really here to solve your problems, Taz. I'm here to win championships. Yeah! Taz is fuming, and they have a bit of an argument back and forth where Christian says, I'm glad that I can look at you eye to eye because you're stood on the stage, so we're the same height, calling Taz short. Taz says, look, if I stood on my wallet, I'd be taller than you, and Christian says, yeah, that bingo hall money. And Taz is like legitimately a bit rattled. He's like, no, other money as well. Taz says he never liked Christian, he never liked that stupid friend of his that carried him. I'm assuming he means Tyson Tomko, and it's not going well, guys. They're arguing a lot. Hobbs has had enough of this. He heads down to the ring and he's going to beat up Christian. They start to fight and Christian is holding his own, but then Hook distracts him from the apron. Christian turns his back and Hobbs takes control and beats him down, and that's the segment. This gets a B grade, good stuff. I like the developments in the story and I think there's a lot more to it. Presumably Brian Cage is going to turn babyface, leaving Team Taz and forming the Cage Cousins with Christian. And finally, the main event of the night, Darby Allin defending his TNT Championship against Matt Hardy in Falls Count Anywhere action. Matt starts off with a chair, why not, it's no DQ, and uses it to gain the advantage early on. He goes for a twist of fate with the chair around Darby Allin's neck. He's done it to Jeff Hardy before at WrestleMania, remember? But Darby manages to reverse it and then ram himself into Matt while still wearing the chair. Quite an innovative spot, I enjoyed it. Darby starts to gain the advantage, firing up with the chair, but then here come all of Matt Hardy's stable to beat him down. But here come the Dark Order to even the odds. And here comes Sting! Tony, so excited every week, Tony, come on. The match basically becomes a big brawl with fights breaking out all over the arena. The actual match is still going on between Matt and Darby, of course, but more figures are starting to get involved. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page come down at one point to try and blindside Sting, but Lance Archer walks out and cuts them off, and they just walk to the back. Archer then gets in the ring. He and Sting are alone in there, apart from Private Party, who are kind of down on the ground. They've been beaten up by Sting a little bit. Looks like Archer and Sting are going to fight, but then Archer just continues to beat up Private Party. Maybe to prove a point to Sting, like, I am worthy of fighting you. Archer walks off and I think just joins the fray because he likes fighting. Sting sees Darby up on the stage and he's in control of Matt, and Sting throws his baseball bat and Darby catches it and Sting walks off. He's like, you've got this, kid. You've got the bat now. What more do you need? But Matt turns the tide with a low blow. They're still on the stage. Matt hits the twist of fate with the chair around Darby's neck, but Darby kicks out. So Matt drags him to Gorilla. We see Tony Khan, little Tony Khan cameo there, and Matt climbs up a ladder and puts Darby through a table. And again, Darby kicks out. They head back onto the stage area. Darby gets control of the bat once again and knocks Matt down and puts him on the announce table, climbs up a nearby scaffold, and Coffin drops off to get the pinfall. A big spot to end the show. This gets a B+ grade. It was messy, it was chaotic, but it was exciting. And Darby looks really resilient for kicking out of all that punishment from Matt. Sometimes kicking out of a lot of stuff isn't necessarily a bad thing, and when it's Darby Allin, whose character is based around his ability to withstand punishment, I think it makes sense. Overall though, I'm gonna give the show a B+ grade as well. I thought it was a decent show, certainly not a patch on the show 2 weeks ago, which was insanely awesome. But yeah, generally a good show, things moving along towards the next pay-per-view, which I believe is probably going to be Double or Nothing, isn't it? Yeah. And generally, I thought it was an entertaining watch. Highly recommended. And thank you very much, genuinely, for watching this series. Obviously, Graded is coming to an end across all the shows, but at the same time, we are replacing it with something very exciting. Once we can all be back in the same place, you know, physically back again once lockdown's eased a bit further. But yes, thank you so much to everybody, and thank you to everybody who checked out our WrestleMania coverage as well, and thank you to all of our editing team who did an amazing job getting it all together. Yeah, feel good times, hooray! That was cool. Take care of yourselves, stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.